We move along in the program. Our first plant communicator presentation will be from Rachel Corby, an author, personal rewilding coach, plant whisperer, and sacred plant medicine mentor. She has written 4 books, including Rewild Yourself, Becoming Nature, and Rewilding, the Art of Plant Whispering. Rachel is an advocate for regenerating and reviving interest in communicating directly with the more than human and the indigenous plant medicine of her homeland, the UK. She teaches and mentors both in person and online. Rachel has been working with direct perception to develop two-way communication with plants since the mid-1990s, when she first felt the direct touch from a plant. She trusts and believes that working with the consciousness of plants will help humankind to divert their trajectory from one of harm to all beings, themselves included, to one that is more harmonious with the rest of the natural living world. Welcome, Rachel.
Hi, thank you so much, Kate, and thank you. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you, Olivia, also for that breathing, because I feel like I need to breathe. Okay, so I want to take you back to spring 2024 when Dandelion stepped forward to me and asked for me to work with them. And I was already working with another plant at the time. And so I said, I can't work with you right now. So how about next spring when your flowers return? Let's have a communication then. And it was early spring this year, and it was getting towards the flowering time for dandelion. And I was thinking, what's the conversation going to be? How am I going to focus it? Where am I going to go with this communication? And that's when Paul Moss got in touch and invited me to be part of this. So straight away, it was like, brilliant. I know exactly what I'm going to ask a dandelion. And I've got some notes here anyway, but I've written it down exactly how I asked it. Please share any messages that will be helpful for creating a positive future for humankind and all life on Earth. So that's what I posed to Dandelion. And we worked together for 28 days for a moon cycle. In that time, every day I sat with Dandelion. I did a little meditation together with them. I ate their leaves, I ate their flowers, I drank their leaves and their flowers in tea. And one thing that I can say that came through is persistence. Dandelion is very persistent, but what I wasn't expecting perhaps was how clear Dandelion is. Grounded in really, really grounded. I was expecting that, but yeah, absolute pure simplicity and a really beautiful and yeah, a beautiful message. So because time is limited here and I don't want to waffle on too much about what I'm going to end up saying, I'm going to go straight to basically the summary of the notes that I made over that 28-day period, and it's written in Dandelion's word, and I'm going to try and keep my commentary to a minimum, and then if there's time at the end I will pass my commentary on what Dandelion said. But basically, this is for all of you. This is for all of you because that's how how I asked the question. So it can be quite repetitive at times, so I do apologize. But just like the dandelion, and on the surface is quite simple. You see this bright yellow flower, quite simple. Jaggedy green leaf, quite simple, until you start paying attention. And then you realize that within that flower are the loads of little details and loads of beautiful little flowers, and every day it closes back up and then opens back up with the sun, and the final time it closes back up, when the bud opens back open, it's just this dome of sacred geometry flower seeds, well, seeds, not flowers anymore, and so that within the simplicity is so many layers. And I hope that will come through in what Dandelion shared with me, because that's how I received it. So here we go. Eat wild leaves. especially dandelion. We need the bitterness. Bitter foods allow us to function efficiently, and as dandelion said to me, see clearly. This is not and will not be effortless. As humans, we each need to put in the work. However, eating the leaves will help us retrain our sensitivity, openness, and attentiveness to the rest of the natural living world, Dandelion assured me. So be patient, pause, and slow down, because it's not as straightforward as it sounds. And as these times get more frantic, with AI and all those other technologies that are encroaching further and further, I believe, on the natural living world. And remember, this is in Dandelion's words, because I don't even know what this next sentence means. Swimming in the riptide of human arrogance and intentional ignorance feels not just hopeless, but also helpless. So strip it back. The only one you can really influence is yourself. And so the message became, do the obvious, start there with yourself, eat dandelion leaves. This may not feel enough, especially in such urgent times, but keep at it and take it deeper, because perhaps this is all you can do, and perhaps that is everything. So during this 28-day period, quite early on in my social media flow, up popped the a study on ADHD, and I don't have the reference. I'm sorry, I didn't bring it. But basically, 600 children who've all been diagnosed with ADHD were taken on a 3-month diet where they had to remove all additives, dyes, sugars, artificial ingredients from their diets for the full 3 months. So this is 600 people, 600 children. And at the end of the 3-month period, 75% of them no longer had ADHD symptoms at all. The fact this popped up on my feed while I was working with Dandelion was not a coincidence. Whenever something comes up and I'm working with a plant, I know it's not a coincidence. I just trust that I've found out for a reason. So then Dandelion basically kind of came in with what now follows, that obviously this condition, especially in children, is typically medicated. And here comes the dandelion bit, that medication destroys the earth. Chemical medication destroys the earth through the oil that is used in the processing, the packaging, the transport, but also through the chemicals that may well be excreted from the factory. Depends where your factory is sited and what the local environmental laws are, but also through the human body. So once the medication has done the job it was given, well, let's hope it does the job it was given to you for, but it also then has to pass through your body. And some of the chemicals may get lodged in your liver as toxins that it's finding hard to process. Others will pass through your body and pass out through the urine. And that goes back into the water system. Essentially, the sewage system isn't kind of refined enough to remove all the chemicals that are coming out of our bodies. And so it comes back into the water cycle and it starts to deplete the earth. This is all coming from dandelion, remember. Eat my leaves, dandelion repeated a little louder every day. Wild daily connection is the therapy, the repair, the healing. Once you eat those leaves, they set off a cascade within the body. They stimulate digestion, they stimulate the liver, they stimulate bile production. And with that, they help clear kind of stagnancy in the lung, in the skin, and in the liver, which is, they're all kind of exit points for toxins in the body. And dandelion at this point says to me, a sluggish digestion leads to a sluggish mind. So I don't know. Yeah, I just feel that's purely coming from dandelion. If you've got a sluggish digestion, you're not thinking as clearly. Where there is no connection with food and wider nature, there is a lack of belonging, a loneliness, and humans miss that they are part of the more than human community. Dandelion here is offering a window to fix that disconnect with their very simple message, their very simple solution. And in fact, Dandelion said, keep it simple. There is no great mystery. Align with the rest of the natural living world. And the first step is through what you eat. The medicine is in the eating. The remedy is the food. Dandelion also reminded me that it's better that through eating the leaves, in fact, you're getting a kind of, you're fortifying your system and you're protecting yourself against a decline in health, a health crisis. And Dandelion basically reminded me that it is so much better to work that way, to fill your body with all these incredible foods that are medicine for your physical body as much as for your soul. Also, they're medicines for your physical body that will prevent you getting sick. And it's so much easier to work in that way, to work basically rather than remedially. You get sick and then you start taking, whether it's chemical medications or herbal medicine. This is the way to do it, says Dandelion. Where else are we? The more you eat the leaf, the more you will receive an understanding of the beingness of all things. And remembering here that every day I was writing in my journal as we're having these communications. So including the paper in your journal that came from the flesh of trees, the words you record there becoming spells and magic for you. Awareness at this level enforces every action to be a conscious one, with reverence and respect for all life, which makes the very act of living sacred. Where to go? And this will redirect the trajectory of humankind. Says Daniel. You don't have to do anything fancy or anything grandiose. Just eat me and drink me. Ground yourself in wild foods. This alone can change the world. Let your belly be your guide. Remind you by the eating of us. The land needs to feel your bare feet, to feel them dance, flesh on flesh. Only then will you remember that you are the flesh of earth, that you are a sacred container moving sacred earth from one place to another. There's not that many more points coming through from Dandelion, but I'll continue reading through. You have isolated yourself for so long, you have forgotten that connection comes through physical touch. In your life of isolation, you have become sick. The more medications and interventions to treat this sickness, the further from your natural state among all beings you have become. Eat wild leaves. Let your gut guide you outside. Stand, walk, dance barefoot on the earth. The only ritual you need is to come outside often. The only ceremony is that of offering your presence to other life by being among them and receiving their presence, your belonging together in return. No one being can thrive unless we all thrive. This was also the final kind of part of the message that came through from Dandelion, was that if you feel resistance, it is because to be one among all life, you must let go of all you are. All your strivings, wantings, becomings, your lack and your less than. Your resistance is because deep inside you know that being where you truly belong is a receiving beyond imagination. While you resist, none of us can truly thrive. So eat my leaves, let them guide you outside, gather barefoot, so the remembering, the being, the positive future for all beings is. So there we go. That was Dandelion's message to me. And there was definitely no room for grandiosity there. It was very simple and very repetitive. But as I said at the beginning, there was multiple layers there. And one thing, I mean, obviously I was in this moon cycle study with Dandelion. I had committed to 28 days. And for those 28 days, I every single day either ate or drank the tea or ate the flower or the leaf or drank a tea made from either. And so at the end of this, Dandelion offered as an invitation to you who are listening today to take up the challenge if you can, if you're in a location where there are dandelions or where there are other wild leaves, that you take up a challenge to take even just one single leaf every single day for 28 days and to eat that leaf. Remembering to follow the forager's code, of course, never take too many, too much, always be careful of identification, and always be careful of sources of pollution, of course, and also remembering to ask and to thank. But if you do take on this 28-day challenge, the invitation also is to take notes and to notice, if at all possible, to do it barefoot, to gather your leaf barefoot. I mean, I wasn't coming home and making a big salad. I was just going for a little walk, taking my shoes off, walking around, taking a leaf or two and nibbling on them. And that was the invitation also to you, and to make notes to see if there's any slight and subtle differences for you in that time. And this becomes now my challenge, where I'm actually going to invite you that if you're in a location, and I know loads of people live in city centres, it's really limited where you can get your wild leaves. But if you're in a location and a climate where it might be possible to gather leaves year round, like it is here in the UK, I could actually pick a dandelion leaf year round where I live, because the winters aren't that cold. There's very little snow or frost these days. So that, although the leaf growth is less abundant, there's always still leaf. So if you're in a similar position to me and it is possible, my personal challenge to you is, well, if Dandelion says do it, let's do it. Do it for a year. See if you can do it for a year. The greatest gift for me would be that if on summer solstice next year, I get a whole load of emails from people who've been listening today who've done that, and to see what changes that made in your life, because that's what Dandelion is asking us to do, to pay attention, to do this tiny little step. And how will it benefit all the other life out there? It will benefit the rest of life by we'll need more wild spaces. We'll let our lawns grow crazy and wild, and all of that, and all the benefit that the pollinators will receive from that. I feel like I'm almost running out of time here, so I'm just going to give you my final summary, really, which is basically. And this came to me really after doing this work, because the question was only posed to me just before I started this work with Dandelion. But we can't go out and make grand gestures about rewilding, saving the world, regenerating, until we begin with us. And that means each and every single one of us beginning with ourselves. And according to Dandelion, really, that will be it. That be all that's needed. And it will most certainly be the beginning. So thank you everyone for listening. Hope I didn't rabbit too fast. I just wanted to get through it all before we ran out of time. Most of all, I just want to thank Dandelion for the offering, and for just showing us that the answer is in the ordinary, that the magic, that the nurture, and that the transformation is in the ordinary that is right outside our door. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing your meditations and with Dandelion, and also the message that Dandelion has for us. And hopefully those that are able and interested will participate in your 28-day challenge, or year round if that so calls people to that. So wonderful.